What came from Tehran now was not a sign of truce, but a direct refutation of Donald Trump's claim.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, the strategic power you spoke so much about has turned into a strategic defeat. If the self-proclaimed world superpower could get out of this deadlock, it would have already done so. Don't call your defeat an agreement. The time for your promises is over. Today there are two camps in the world, the camp of truth and the camp of falsehood, and no seeker of truth or free person will be swayed by your media campaigns. The level of your internal conflicts has reached the point where you negotiate with yourselves. There will be no more investment from you in the region, nor will you see the old prices of energy and oil again, until you understand that stability in the region is guaranteed by the powerful hand of our armed forces, stability through strength. We explicitly declare that until it is our will, no situation will return to its previous state. This will is our. That moment will only come when the idea of acting against the Iranian nation is completely erased from your impure minds. From the very first day, our first and last word was, is, and always will be this. No one will ever reach an agreement with someone like you. Not now, not ever. And there is no victory except from God, the Almighty, the Wise.
The Iranian government responded to the American president's statements about an alleged negotiation with the United States and did so in a harsh public tone. The message was simple. In Iran's view, Washington is announcing an agreement that does not exist. Instead of confirming talks, Iranian officials accused Trump of negotiating with himself. And they sent another strong message saying that the Americans shouldn't call their defeat an agreement. Reuters, and AP recorded this reaction as part of the new verbal escalation between the two sides. According to Reuters, it was the Iranian military leadership that took the lead in this response. The most striking statement came from Ebrahim Zolfakari, spokesperson for the Joint Command of the Iranian Armed Forces. He publicly questioned Trump and suggested that the White House went so far as to create a negotiation in their own minds. This shows that the denial did not come just from a side comment or a secondary source. It came from an official channel linked to the regime's defense structure. At a time when Tehran is trying to show strength to its population, to its allies, and to its regional rivals. When this happened, matters too. The available publications indicate that this response gained momentum between March 24 and 25, 2026 amid news about war, attacks, and increasing pressure on the global energy market. This point is important because it completely changes the context. This is not an old statement being brought back, but a reaction part of a current crisis, tied to the military and diplomatic dispute, which are already affecting oil, investments, and regional security. Where this dispute is formally taking place is in the diplomatic arena between Washington and Tehran. But in practice, it is spreading throughout the Middle East and the international market. The war and the threat of new attacks have pushed the crisis forward. Beyond the rhetoric, Reuters highlighted that the confrontation was already affecting energy, finance, and risk perception in the region. This explains why the Iranian statement about investments and oil prices was not made by chance. Iran wants to make it clear that if pressure continues, consequences won't be limited to the military field. It could hit governments, companies, and consumers in the wallet around the world, just like Iran did. This denial wasn't made with soft diplomatic language. It was filled with irony, confrontation, and indirect threats. By saying that the United States is negotiating alone, the regime not only denies Trump's version, but also tries to ridicule it by saying, "Don't call your defeat an agreement." Iran tries to flip the narrative and sell the idea that it's not Tehran that's cornered, but Washington. And by saying there will be no news of investments in the region, nor a return to former energy and oil prices, the message becomes even more aggressive. The regime suggests that instability may continue and that the cost of this crisis will be high. Why does this response matter so much? Because it publicly undermines Trump's attempt to show diplomatic progress? The AP reported that Trump had been saying that Iran wanted to make a deal and that there were contacts with people considered suitable for this. The problem for the American narrative is that Tehran denied everything in public, and in crises like this, the narrative carries almost as much weight as the missiles. If one side announces negotiations and the other calls it a bluff, what appears to the world is a brutal battle for credibility. There is yet another decisive factor. Iran seems to want to avoid any image of surrender. And economically, admitting to direct talks with the US could be seen internally as a retreat. That's why the strategy was to respond even provocatively. The goal is to maintain a stance of resistance, prevent Trump from politically capitalizing on the idea of an agreement, and show that Tehran does not accept being portrayed as the weakened side. That's the logic behind the denial. More than just denying a conversation, Iran is disputing the global perception of who gave in and who continues to stand firm in the standoff. The practical effect of this is concerning. When one side talks about negotiation and the other responds with scorn, the space for easing tensions becomes smaller. This increases uncertainty, raises regional tension, and keeps the market on alert. Reuters had already been pointing out that the war left deep scars on the Middle East's energy sector. And another analysis by the agency highlighted that the crisis is shaking even long-standing certainties in the oil-linked financial system. In the end, what Iran is saying is clear. It does not recognize Trump's version, does not accept that Washington announces an agreement without confirmation from Tehran, and wants to turn this episode into a political defeat for the White House. It is the regime's military leadership speaking.